What's up? And welcome to Champions of Lore, a show that normally doesn't have lightsabers, but today it does because it was my birthday weekend and I made a lightsaber, and so here we are. This is a show about all the kick-ass stories behind some of Idle Champions' coolest campaigns and characters, which premieres every Monday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time here on twitch.tv/CNE Games. Oh my god, it is! It's Wednesday now. That's the day. It's Wednesday now. Also, I got permission to show this off by Dylan, so me messing this up is totally his fault. Every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time here on twitch.tv/CNE Games, or later on your favorite podcast service, Dave Walters and Erin M. Evans talk about all the Idle Champions lore that's fun to know about. If you're here with us live in the chat, you can leave a question that I, Treavor Bettis, the one with the lightsaber, will ask them later in the show. But until then, Erin, Dave, take it away. Yeah. Oh, hang on a second. I think people are saying that it's muted, and I know why. For Erin, and now it should be good.
Do I have to do it again?
I don't know.
Did everybody read my lips?
But I just want to hear it again.
Yeah, there.
This time I won't flip the title.
I know what it was. It was totally my fault. Go ahead. I'm just
All right.
making everything a great show today.
It's been a weird week.
We'll do it live.
I'm Erin M. Evans. I'm the author of the Brimstone Angels Saga, a 6-book series set in the Forgotten Realms that features 3 of your favorite Idle Champions, Farida, Havilar, and Mahen. And also for the purposes of today's topic, I am the author of Ed Greenwood Presents Waterdeep, The Godcatcher.
Yes.
Which was my first novel.
You know, I realized you always mention Frida, Havilar, and Mahan, and I never mentioned that Freely is in the Idle Champions, except in passing. So yes, I too have a hero, an Idle Champions champion. B-Dave Walters, I say words about things. Fellow lightsaber enthusiast. I have journeyed to San Diego this weekend to pay tribute unto Treavor at the Holy Sanctum for Trevor's birthday, which was Monday. So happy belated birthday. Or Sunday. Sunday. Happy Sunday. Trevor's birthday. Happy belated. Yeah, I do that. I do stuff. I say stuff everywhere. I'm gonna be previewing a magic card when we get done here. So if you don't follow me on Twitter, follow me at B-Dave Walters. I'll be putting that up. One of the new adventures in the Forgotten Realms.
Super exciting.
There it goes.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we are here today to talk about Waterdeep, the City of Splendor, which may or may not have lightsabers in it. I don't know. I don't control your games.
I mean, everything else is in Waterdeep, so it doesn't surprise me. They probably have a different legally distinct name, though.
Sunblade.
Also true. Sunblade. Well, the Sunblade is not sun, so yes.
Yeah.
It's the Sunblade.
Actually, no, I just realized when my players were there, they did in fact acquire a Sunblade at one point. So there was a lightsaber in my Waterdeep.
Cannon!
There it is.
Cannon!
It is. It's done.
So where do y'all want to start with Waterdeep?
Just
From
like,
the bottom
here's
that
the
we're here.
definition.
Yeah.
Waterdeep is a very large city on the Sword Coast. It is a frequent site of stories and adventures because it is it's very cosmopolitan. There's lots of different things in Waterdeep and lots of different people have come to Waterdeep. So, like we said, whatever you want, you can probably find a place that it belongs in Waterdeep.
It's definitely the top city in the north, arguably the top city in Faerun, in terms of size and influence. Yep.
Yeah.
It's got some big old statues.
Yes.
Does have. I have.
Speaking of which,
yeah,
that is one of my favorite things about Waterdeep. So they have many layers of defense. They have a city watch, which is like their police force. They have a city guard, which is faced outward, protecting the roads and the gates and any kind of infiltration. Because people have attacked Waterdeep and also monsters have attacked Waterdeep on occasion throughout its history. But the big guns. The Blackstaff can control, or could control previously, a series of constructs called the walking statues.
Lady. I can't get it to focus, but there's Vajra.
Yep.
One of which is the titular Godcatcher of my first novel. So.
Titular.
God dang it. Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not. I ran Waterdeep. I'm not completely, don't know everything about it, but if I remember correctly, those statues were originally made to fend off dragons, right?
Yeah, I mean, what do you got? The last time they were activated, I'm pretty sure was the Sahuagin invasion. Did we ever figure out how to say that one?
Not only do we figure it out, we figure it out and forget it every time.
I'm sure
This is like, I think we because it was Sahagin. Wasn't that what we ended up with?
We're just gonna have to check.
Shoot.
We're just gonna check.
No.
See, and I always get it mixed up in my head with the actual name for elites in Halo because they're like the Sungheili or something. got all those nerd things
Come on.
over.
Yeah, no, I'm looking it up too. Like
Sahuagin.
Sahuagin.
And see, and Obalor in the chat says Sahuagin.
See, that's how I say
stop it. No, all of this has happened before and will happen again. No,
this is our own personal Groundhog Day.
So actually,
this exact exchange has happened so many times. Yeah. Sahuagin.
So actually, one of the walking statues of Waterdeep is called the Sahuagin Humbled, which was originally like a giant, like 100 foot statue of a humanoid, but after the Sahuagin invasion, that Blackstaff, Kelvin Arunson, reshaped it so it looks like a Sahuagin, and he moved it.
Yeah,
because after you turn them on, you could be like, you know what, I don't like you there. I feel like it's ruining the flow of the city. So let's move you over to the slopes of Mount Waterdeep where people can see you, but you won't hold up traffic.
Man, that is now making me picture this all-powerful wizard that is just never happy with the arrangement of a room and just goes out onto a balcony. He's like, I want you over there. And he, boom, boom, boom.
But if we're being honest, is that not what wizards do, but to all of reality? I'm not happy with this. I want this over there, and this be way more on fire.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah.
Why don't we talk about kind of like the way the city is run, because we talked about the Blackstaff, who is the wizard that is kind of in charge of protecting things, which currently is Vajra. But the type of government is really interesting, and I really do love it.
Yes.
How does government work in Waterdeep?
Weird.
I mean, that's a good summary. They're ruled by a council of masked lords. If you're a masked lord, you meet and you have to wear this mask that completely covers your head and face. You have to wear special robes, and the mask also changes your voice. And nobody's allowed to know who the masked lords are. The masked lords choose their own successors. And the person who gets to sit in on these and sort of relay stuff is called the Open Lord. They don't have to wear a mask. The current Open Lord is Laryl Silverhand, who's one of the Seven Sisters.
Love her.
And so she gets to sit and listen to what everybody says, and then take that back out into the public so that those people's identities are kept secret. There's been a lot of masked lords through the years. Some of them are good people, some of them are bad people. It seems very Waterdavian to have a mix, so that you have lots of input. I can't remember all of the different ones because it's a lot.
Mm-hmm. I wanted to hop in real quick and say I love the word Waterdavian. I don't know why. I think that is one of the coolest freaking words.
That is one of my favorite demonyms in the Forgotten Realms.
It's so good.
It is delightful. Yep.
Yeah, the Open Lord before Silverhand was Doggalt Neverember, who may or may not have been up to some shady business, but that's for you to find out in a certain pre-written campaign.
I mean, he also, I will just say, if you are interested in Waterdeep, the novel series Ed Greenwood Presents Waterdeep is a series of standalones that takes place in various parts of this city. And it's very fun, and Ed Greenwood was very involved in the creation of those stories. And Lord Neverember doesn't come off good there either. Like, he's pretty much.
Does he come off good anywhere?
Yeah. No, that's my point.
Like, video game.
You meet him and you're like, this guy's up to something.
Yeah.
The Neverwinter video game, he's okay.
The Neverwinter MMO paints Doggalt Neverember as just the chillest dude. And every time I'm there, I'm like, you all...
You know why? Because things hadn't gone wrong in Neverwinter yet, and he didn't have to like take it to the next level in Waterdeep. Although it's funny that The masked lords are masked. No one knows who they are, like you said. But it's the demographics of the council is written as predominantly human, and I'm like, yeah, but how you know that?
Right?
You know,
They got a mask.
I mean, the city is predominantly human, so I guess it's a fair guess. But I mean, like, you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It does
Also-
feel like if you're, for example, a halfling masked lord, that you might need a body double of some kind, just so
True.
people don't clock it immediately.
Well, I thought that
True.
the robes manipulated the appearance
you
to
know,
give
that's
everyone the
probably
same.
true.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah,
I think
otherwise,
Because that is
when
a very easy problem to solve.
one of
when you
these
have
things is
magic.
not like the other.
yeah. Otherwise, when like Mert came rolling in, you're like, that guy. That's him. That's Mert. Yeah.
I feel like if I were a masked lord, I would spend the whole council meeting trying to guess who everybody
Right?
else was.
I guarantee you they're all spending the entire council meeting trying to figure out who all the other ones are, you know?
I don't know. I feel like there were some where he's not on there anymore, surely, but Lord Adderbrent probably did not give a single flip who was under there because he's just there to do the job. But I don't know how to be that person, so.
No, I'd be the one that I would have my staff go out into the city while I was at the meeting and just keep track of who's not there. You know what I mean? Like that's how I'm like, who's not home right now? And then that's how we're gonna get our prospect list of Lords of Waterdeep. Yeah, but theoretically, the reason why they had this system of government is it was fair, essentially. You know, that you could rule impartially, that people could make decisions based on the issues and not necessarily their rivalries or alliances with others. And in that's actually a pretty great system if you think about it. Like, I mean, representative government stripped out of some of the BS. Don't get me wrong, plenty of things have gone terribly wrong with this system over the years, but it's not a bad idea. Yeah. It's like there was a halfling rogue that was killed and replaced by a doppelganger, and then the doppelganger was an open lord or a masked lord. But I'm like, how would you even know? I'm like, that seems like a lot. Why even bother with a doppelganger? You could just like replace him with a child. Yeah, you know, get in there, Tommy. Yeah,
I like the idea that the doppelganger like took on the appearance of someone who's like, okay, I'm just gonna lay low like this for a while. And they're like, sir, your mass lord meeting is ready. My what?
yeah.
What if that was
Cool,
his
cool,
goal
cool.
the whole time? Just like, I
See,
wanted
that
to
would've
be a
been
masked
cool.
lord.
That would have been really
Yep.
I mean, I haven't read that one, but
I will.
but he is in the board game, which I highly recommend.
Yep. Lords of
Seriously.
Waterdeep is it's great. It's a great board game. The expansion's nice
So
too.
good.
Yes.
And we'll get to the what's the expansion's about in a little bit.
Hey,
But so that's how the city is run and protected. And it's famous for a lot of things. I mean, it's called the City of Splendor. But there's one place in particular there that is very well known by a lot of adventurers, which is the Yawning Portal.
I was gonna say the Yawning Portal.
Yes.
I've
What?
been to the Yawning Portal.
Yeah. Well, you're perfect to tell us. What is the Yawning Portal?
It is a bar, but there is a hole in the middle, the Yawning Portal, that you can get down underneath the city, and that's you can enter into the Underdark through there. You can get the Skullport through there. All sorts of super happy fun things are down there. Yep, Undermountain you can get through down there. Yeah, it's a great old place. So it's like when you play all those video games, when it's like, hey, come into the tavern, go down into the basement, and kill some large rats for your first thing. All shout outs to the Yawning Portal.
I have the Dragon Heist Waterdeep book here. This is not great for audio listeners, but inside they have this really cool, like kind of like I Spy of D&D characters all throughout the Yawning Portal, and there's a little, you know, well down there and everything, and right over there is Matt Mercer, just studying up for a game.
As he is wont to do.
Yes.
Yep. And then Durnan runs the place. Durnan is on the cover of Tales from the Awning Portal, if you've never seen him, with his immaculate pork chop
Such a good
mustache.
So good.
Yeah. Who like was an adventurer but might be a god. I'm not sure. I don't no, but it's like don't mess with Durnan. It's kind of the consensus. Yep. And then you can pay a fee and you get to go down and do some adventurizing.
I like that. Let me see. Where was I going to take it from there? Oh, well, I guess it's okay to jump to the. Oh God, B-Dave's jumping around in time and space.
That's
You
how
go
I got
down.
it. I got excited about the Yawning Portal.
You went down into it.
Mhm.
Well, one of the places that you mentioned that you can go down into is Skullport. What is Skullport?
I was gonna say you could go. Skullport is a sort of city under the city. It's the Underdark version of. Is it technically in the Underdark, or is it sort of in the? It's the fringe, the upper dark.
It's
which
adjacent
is a technical term.
Yeah. No, it's still at sea level because you can sail in and out of there. Yeah.
Real quick before you guys go on, and this is audio listeners, you're missing this, but I'm saying this for people in chat who may not be looking at the screen right now. There is a giveaway going on right now in chat. Enter for a chance to win your choice of a red slod paint night kit, you type Masked Lords into chat, and the raffle will open until 11:25. So if you're not looking at the screen, do it now.
Fun.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, Skullport.
Skullport's full of all kinds of fun stuff, like the Xanthar.
The Xanthar.
Who's the Xanthar?
The Xanthar.
Yes, it is a title. It is not a person, exactly. It is a beholder crime lord, who I love. Every time the Xanthar comes up in my kids' D&D game, my son shouts, "He has a pet goldfish!"
He does.
Yep, Silgar.
That's his favorite fact about the Xanthar.
It's the only creature that Xanthar loves, the Silgar, the goldfish. Yeah. Because you might recall when we talked about beholders that they're supremacists. They hate everyone, including other beholders. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like each of them believes they are the sole entity fit to rule the multiverse. Yeah. And then he's a crime lord, which is honestly kind of amazing if you think about it.
Yeah,
it is. But I just love that he has a little goldfish and he just loves him so much.
Yep.
I know a lot of people because if the Xanthar's Guide to Everything, like it has the goldfish there and it has the Xanthar looking into it. But I love the alt art for it because it's just two goldfish kind of like swimming around each other with 10 eyes. And I'm like, if you don't know about the Xanthar, this is the strangest looking book cover you've ever seen.
That is all true. Oh, well, yes, technically Skullport is in the 3rd level of Undermountain. So it's technically a part of Undermountain.
Well, that's kind of a cool segue. What is Undermountain? Because that is still part of Waterdeep.
The product of a wizard who I believe Dave described once as his cheese is slain off his cracker. Stuck with me forever.
What
Aaron
you
described him as Ella.
What name does he have?
Clap.
There it is. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay.
Yep. Slain by Bailoff the Entertainer in direct
I was there, I saw it.
Yes, true. That's what I heard happened. Yeah.
So yeah, Halaster Blackcloak, who is, I believe, one of the chosen of Mystra. Definitely powerful wizard. Already kind of not entirely here mentally, and then the spell plague happened. But he made this lair, this many layered lair underneath Mount Waterdeep that goes down deep into the Underdark. So this is how you can access Skullport. It is full of crazy nonsense and dead wizard ghosts and,
as you do,
gangs of thieves and things to waylay adventurers and monsters, and in some ways it is Halaster Blackcloak, just like it's his TV show. He's just watching you go through and die. Maybe you make it to the end and you proved you're good enough, and it's a reality show now.
I really love the concept of Alabaster Booty Clap sitting in his armchair with the recliner out, just watching on a scrying orb as these adventurers get killed.
What else are you going to use a scrying orb for? Find people who are fun to watch.
I love that so much.
I mean, watching an Umber Hulk eat some halflings is probably pretty good entertainment. Yeah.
And yeah, that, I mean, how many levels are there? There's like 21 levels.
A lot.
Of that place.
Something like that.
And some of them don't even exist in this plane of existence. Like,
I mean, that's Halaster for you there.
Yeah. Speaking of like reality shows, this is like HGTV wizard class. Like, I think I need to make an expansion, but I don't really have room between the 13th and 15th layers. But trust me, that's the 13th and the 15th layers. So this one is actually going to be a pocket dimension in the Astral Sea. We just have to get the planning committee to approve.
I like that it was very specific between two places. Like, his dungeon is his own mixtape. He's like, no, this track's got to go right here.
That is the vibe of Undermountain, that it is the product of someone making a plan, but you don't understand the plan.
Yeah.
They understand the plan.
Yeah.
It is a wild place.
A very powerful wizard with too much time on his hands. Yeah.
Let's see. Where I'm getting lost. What else should we talk about from Waterdeep that I'm missing here? There's the City of the Dead.
I would just
That
like
is
to.
fun.
I would just like to. I would just like to say down in Undermountain, there's caverns of ooze. Just caverns of ooze. That's all I have to say.
I
Yeah.
like it.
It really offsets the Dead Apprentices.
Yeah.
It really brings the room together.
I mean, well,
okay.
you don't run into like issues trying to fit everything in there because it's just ooze.
Mhm. Well, so God, I just remember this. I used to run D&D games at a bookstore, and we'd have like kids show up, people who didn't know how to play and whatnot. And for a while, we ran Dungeon of the Mad Mage, and one of my favorite things was this kid. He had this dragonborn. He was just so excited to adventure. And they opened a door. There was a big empty room with a single sword stuck into a stone. And he was just like, I run in and grab it. And everyone's like, what? He's like, I don't care. I run in and grab it. And so the sword just stuck to his hand forever. And everyone's like, oh man, that sucks. He goes, no, this is great. And so like the next combat, giant spiders everywhere. He ran in like sword first. He's like, I can't be disarmed. This is great. I was like, I like you, kid.
I'm like, you can be disarmed, boy. But yes, go and seek glory.
This is the same thing that happened with my kids, because this is what I'm running right now for the kids I run D&D for. It like the one kid, I let him change his class. I don't remember what he is now, but he was a paladin at the time. He saw the sword. He wanted the sword. And my son was like, no, it could be dangerous. Like, we should be careful. And he's like, no, I want it. And so then he grabbed it, and he hadn't realized it was stuck yet. And at the moment he grabbed it, my son was like, well, if you can't have it, I want it. So they start tussling over the and eventually the sorcerer like casts something to like kind of break him up. And then we find out the sword is stuck to his hand. And then of course he was furious. He's like, no, I don't want it stuck to my hand. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. There we are.
You live and you learn.
Yep.
But the City of the Dead.
Yes. What is up with the City of the Dead? Because I realized when you two were talking about it last week that I ran it wrong.
The City of the Dead?
Yeah.
So this is what I know about City of the Dead. So it's a graveyard. It is the graveyard for Waterdeep for a very long time. It is technically full. There's not really room, so there are now portals to further out. I think there's another graveyard near the Field Ward, which is sort of a new neighborhood. It is a park, kind of, and people will just go strolling around. But it is very infected by the ghosts of people who died and live there now as ghosts. There are things like topiary animals that come to life. There are weird there's things like there's this head of the Thieves Guild had this maze over his grave, and so you go through and you could die going through that maze if you're not careful.
So it sounds like someone was just like, we gotta make a graveyard, but I also really love The Shining.
Yep, a little bit.
Yeah.
That one is one of the books in Ed Greenwood Presents Waterdeep that is my favorite, The City of the Dead by Rosemary Jones, which is about the family that is tasked with taking care of the City of the Dead. So they're the stonemasons and the coffin makers, and they create all these tombs, and they do the upkeep and the repairs. So the ghosts all like them. Mm-hmm. They still don't want to stay in there after night because that's when the scary ones come out. But in general, like the graveyard cares about them. And in this particular book, someone does something to disrupt the ghosts, and the daughter of the Carvers has to figure it out. And it's really, it is the sweetest D&D book that I've ever read. That one up.
That sounds really
so
good.
like a good balance, right? There's a lot of fun in like super exciting sword sorcery when we kill the monsters. But this one is like, if you had D&D and it was also a rom-com, and I'm very into it. I love twists like that. But anyway, yeah, it's a graveyard with portals to other graveyards.
Because why not?
It is a significant graveyard. Yeah. When I did it, it was of course the site of a necromancer's assault on Waterdeep because it was like there's a bunch of bodies here, and there are wards and protections to stop the undead from just spilling out until they don't stop the undead from spilling out, and then hijinks ensue. Yep.
As you do.
That's perfect.
Also, congrats Reaver01 for winning the raffle. Congratulations there. Hope you're looking forward to that. I'm trying to think. I know I'm missing because there's so much in this city. There's so much going on there.
We could go through some neighborhoods.
Yeah. Let's do that. Yeah, because there's the dock ward,
which is by the docks.
My gosh,
Hey.
I never.
I know it's wild.
Guessed.
We do things a little different in Waterdeep. The sort of the central ward is the castle ward that encompasses where Castle Waterdeep is, which is where the open lord lives and a lot of government stuff happens. You have the dock ward down by the docks.
Down by the river.
There's also merfolk in the docks. Like the mer people live in the harbor of Waterdeep for reasons.
I will tell you this, without spoiling things, there's a lot of fun stuff happening in and around the docks.
There's a Down Shadow, which is actually it's not included in Waterdeep Dungeon of the Mad Mage, but it is a neighborhood that comes off of the first level of Undermountain. Another Greenwood Presents Waterdeep book, Down Shadow by Eric Scott DeBee. Kind of a cheap place for an apartment, but it's kind of dark and damp, so trade-offs. The Field Ward is like the new place because Waterdeep is already a big city for most of its history, but after the Spell Plague, you have a lot of influx of people leaving areas that are now not stable. So this is where it's sort of expanding. It's an up and coming neighborhood, but it's a little rough. Miss Chore, which is not technically a neighborhood, but it is sort of under the sort of the Navy docks where so this is my other one of my other favorites in Ed Greenwood Presents Waterdeep. It is by Julie Johnson. It is has some very cool magic things. There's this ship at the bottom of the ocean of the harbor that you can like go down and like get it to open, and you go in and there's like a secret place in there, and lots of cool spooky stuff. You have a neighborhood on the slopes of Mount Waterdeep, mountainside, obvious. The North Ward is sort of where the Nouveau Riche live. Oh no, I'm sorry. The North Ward is where the nobility live. The Sea Ward is where the Nouveau Riche live. And yeah, there's a couple others like this. There's a Southern Ward. There's a Trades Ward. Undercliff is kind of up under where the cliffs of the mountain are, and you have to get there through tunnels, which is fun. So like lots of different things. You want a city adventure? Like there's a place for it. There's fancy neighborhoods. There's rough neighborhoods. There's underwater neighborhoods. There's underground neighborhoods. There's underground and then way up in the air neighborhoods.
I mean, yeah, that's one of the joys of Waterdeep is, I mean, this setting's 50 years old and it has been very clearly like mapped out and delineated of like where everything is.
I have a detailed map of Waterdeep on a blanket.
Yeah, exactly. When we did Stream of Many Eyes and they built Waterdeep and we got to go in and walk around, which was still one of the most insane experiences of my life. They had some of Ed's old handwritten maps that had been framed.
Oh my
and they were just hung on graph paper of the Forgotten Realms and of Waterdeep and stuff that was hanging up there. What's funny is when I did Dungeons and Dragons: A Darkened Wish, when I wrote that comic, they wanted me to put it in Waterdeep, and I was like, no, because you won't let me destroy it. I was like, there's too much lore. There's too much to be beholden to, that if I'm like, over there's a butcher shop, it's like, actually, that is not a butcher shop. It is a well-known apothecary, run by a goblin with a lazy eye. Yeah, no, I'm like.
That is one of the things. That is one thing with the time jump that was nice was that a lot of that has to change and you can move things, and that butcher shop fell down.
Well, that is one thing that like I do like about the pre-written adventure that I got to run for my players, because they're given this is slight spoilers, but it's the main premise of the whole thing. They're given a tavern at the beginning of the adventure. It's called Troll Skull Manor, and like there is a place for it on the map. So like I like that there's this one point of Waterdeep that's kind of in flux for every table, so that there is something of theirs there.
Yeah.
Like
Uh-oh.
uh oh.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
He's
Hmm.
we cast a
do
time
the
stop
thing.
on you again.
Yeah.
Oh,
All right. Let's see here. All
There
right.
we
yeah, it
go.
worked.
Yeah.
It was only out of there for a second. Perfect.
Mhm.
But yeah, my players got the tavern and immediately were like, well, we're turning this into a haunted themed tavern called Fine Spirits because we have a ghost working for us. And
I love it.
and Mars even used it in one of the games that we did for C&E. So like there's that little point that my players got to make there. I love that.
Nice.
That is great.
Um,
Fine spirits.
they now try to get a Fine Spirits location in almost every place they go ever.
Franchise.
Yes, there's a franchise in Chult. There's a franchise in Avernus. There's a franchise in Neverwinter.
My goodness.
I mean, a haunted bar in Avernus. That's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yep, it kind of fit in really well there. They even they got some management going on that were some demons. It was real nice.
What's the exchange rate of a soul coin for a flagon of ale? But you're in hell, so probably 1-to-1. Like I'd give up somebody's soul for a beer if I was in.
I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure it even says in the book, it's just like there is no actual equivalency. It's just whatever they're willing to actually pay for it.
I mean, that's also capitalism, friend.
That's
Just-
the real hell.
True. And I'll sell someone's soul for a beer. Yep.
There's some big groups that are in there, and you know we might eventually do an episode on this, but the Xantharum are pretty big there.
Yeah.
Who are the Xantharum? Just quickly.
So the Xanthar are also known as the Black Network. They are kind of organized crime. They do a lot of things. They have a lot of cells that operate semi-independently. They have historically bounced around between being under the sort of auspices of the god Bane, the god of tyranny, and then they were sort of infiltrated and overtaken by the god Cyric, by his followers, which are much more chaotic.
Mhm.
I wrote a book called Lesser Evils, which is about Harpers and Xantharum, basically. And at that point, the Xantharum, that would have been like 1479. So things may have settled down now. But the Xantharum were very much split between the Cyricists and the Baneites. The people who want to just like wreck everything up,
Mhm.
and the people who are like, we should be wrecking things in an orderly fashion so that we get what we want.
Wrecking
For the
things in an
record-
orderly fashion.
It's kind of my life strategy. By the way. I'm on their side of this. Yeah.
So the Xantharum have a long history in the realms, and they are pretty good for semi-mundane bad guys. Like they're on it. They're trying to make things happen that benefit them. You can get them to help you if your goals align. It's in my book, so it's canon. But yeah, they do things. They run weapons. They infiltrate other organizations. They'll smuggle magic components and items and things like that.
They'll mess your day up. I do like that
assassinate
idea
people.
though of the organized crime group like having infighting, but
Yeah.
also like in Waterdeep Dragon Heist, they're like fighting with the Xanthar and their gang. So I don't know. I really like organized crime groups just being like, no, we steal from here.
It feels extremely plausible.
Yes.
Yeah. Like this is our corner.
Yes.
Yeah.
Another group that I can't believe I didn't think about when we mentioned Vajra earlier is the Grey Hands, also known as Force Grey. Who are they?
So if I recall correctly, they're sort of as like a special forces group that uses magic. They are like magical SEAL teams.
Yeah,
So like Waterdeep has a problem. The Blackstaff says, okay, you're on it. And they get in, they get the job done, and they get out. Ideally.
Yep.
It's kind of an incredible premise. I want that to be the premise of like my next stream, by the way, that it's like your magical special forces. Like you're not just the standard derpy group of adventurers. Yeah. Like, no, you're the best in the world.
Solving almost impossible problems is one of my favorite D&D.
That sounds freaking awesome. I would love to do that.
That's going into production today now. Cool.
Right, I do know that they did a stream years ago that was Force Grey, and it had like I think it had Joe Manganiello and Brian Posehn and stuff in it. The Force Grey is just freaking cool, and they are also in Idle Champions. So that's where the stream characters in there. I knew that. Haha, I remembered things. Let's see what we're getting towards the time where we're gonna check in with chat. But what are some things that we missed that or you can think of that we should cover for Waterdeep?
It's hard because a lot of things I'm like, well, is that Waterdeep or is that kind of everywhere? But then then Waterdeep has like everywhere things. I feel like I should mention, since I brought it up, Harper's. There is I don't again know exactly how Harper's are handled now, but when I was handling it, there was an organization. The Harper's had been fractured as well, so the Harper's of Waterdeep is an organization that's largely on the west side of Faerun.
West side.
The Harpers of the Dales are kind of over there in the Heartlands, and they were trying to start working together. But Harpers are sort of secret society striving for a balance.
Mm-hmm.
Like they keep everything, in sync. Although post spell plague, that's a lot of try to make the bad things stop happening because a lot of wicked stuff filled in the vacuum.
Mm-hmm.
And that group, when I was writing it, was led by a Kalashite priest named Tamzawad, who's one of my favorite characters.
I feel like I read that name in one of the recent books, so it might still be
because you were reading Brimstone Angels.
Yes, it was that. Evil Emperor Zerg in the chat suggested Griffin Calvary, which I totally forgot about, which is another one of their defenses.
Yeah,
literally just flying around on some griffins, being like, "Halt, criminal scum!"
That's a pretty solid cavalry, right? It flies, it runs, it eats your face.
It's true.
I mean, yeah. That's one of those things that I think we're so used to, like, Griffins are so ubiquitous for so long. We kind of like it's easy to overlook them. But can you think of how terrifying that really would be to have a horse-sized lion eagle?
And the size of that
would
beak.
Actually be,
yeah.
Like a normal eagle's pretty scary if it's decided it wants to hurt you. Also, so is a normal lion. But not both of those things supersized, and then put like some dude wrapped in metal on its back that is like a paladin with bad sense of judgment. Yeah.
That's another one of them is the magisters that walk around and pass judgment on the streets.
Yeah. So, I mean, all of this is sounding more and more like a 70s action movie. We walk around and pass judgment on the streets. Can you dig?
They're not quite Judge Dredd, but I mean, you could play them that way if you wanted to.
I am the law.
Yeah, every magister just walks up, half his face covered. I am the law.
I'm the law. I absolutely had a character based on Judge Dredd when that movie came out, as I believe everyone did. Yeah,
I love it. I would have made you Rob Schneider.
Mm-hmm.
Just running around being annoying.
Yep.
Those are
the halflings.
I love it. Let's go ahead and see what chat has been up to. Let's see. EP Jellian says, "I see no lightsaber. I see a psionic spirit blade." That is a cool ass thing that you just said. I really like that.
Yep.
Wise Laren says, "So how deep underwater is it?" I actually,
how deep is it?
I'll be honest, I kind of thought that too, that it was like gonna be like under something or like lower. I don't know.
Are you talking about Skullport? Or
no, Waterdeep.
Waterdeep.
Gotcha. It's actually because the water of the harbor is deep.
Yeah.
So you can pull boats in pretty far. And isn't that a great thing to have if you're a shipping central location?
Mm-hmm. Garwar says, are there still dragons bound to defend Waterdeep, or am I thinking of a different city? I don't remember reading that.
I'm not sure, but does bring up something about Waterdeep that I believe is still in place. There is a dragon ward on Waterdeep, which means dragons can't enter the city without suffering.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Unless there is an artifact called the Dragonstaff of Agaron. This is another place where I know what I wrote in Waterdeep Dragon Heist has are different, but this is an important element. And if you use that, you can allow a given dragon access to Waterdeep. So there have historically been dragons who lived in Waterdeep looking like humans, and but they had the okay from the magical dragon staff.
I like the idea of a dragon in like looking like a human walking around, and they're traveling somewhere. They're like, all right, we're gonna go in the city. They're just like the Danny DeVito gif. They're like,
Yeah.
like they can do it, but they're gonna be in pain, and it's gonna be awful.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, I know we've talked about, you know, the actual delineation of the dragonborn and all of that, but I always feel like any scaly kind should still just get a little queasy. Just a little queasy.
Yeah.
Just a little,
Yeah.
just a little.
they're like my allergies are so bad every time I
Yes.
come here.
Oh my
What
gosh.
is that? What is doing this?
I love the idea
Yeah.
of Dragonborn having like a pollen allergy in Waterdeep.
Until they sneeze and fire goes off. Yeah.
Let's see. Joe Mallow says, how does the population of Waterdeep compare to Baldur's Gate?
Waterdeep is 1.2 million. I think Waterdeep is
Jeez.
bigger than Baldur's Gate.
I think you're right.
That is my impression as well.
Let's see. While you're
Let's see.
It says in
40
15th
way
century, it's
far
up to
more.
2 million.
Yeah, and it's only 42,000 in Baldur's Gate. So
Wow, really?
yeah. Well, mind flayers keep coming from the sky too, so I can understand why. Yeah, that's only
That'll
gonna
do
happen
it.
a couple of times before you're like, you know what?
I think we should move.
Yeah. Heading east.
I
Yeah.
love that we had a conversation before this about living in tornado country. It's just like, yeah, they keep coming down from the sky. I think it's time to move.
I mean, and we did. So yeah. Speaking as people that have experienced death from the skies, yeah, you clear out.
Yeah.
You clear out after a time.
Oh god, Cassius 335 says, but can the statues combine into a bigger statue? That's kind of
Waterdeep
cool.
has not had that need yet.
So it's not that they can't, you know, like it just hasn't come up yet. Like if Tiamat was there and she's like smashing the place and they're like,
Gee.
form of the super statue. And it'd be like Shiva, it'd have like 6 arms.
Oh.
That's what my special forces magic team is going to have to fight. The Shiva robot fighting Tiamat over Waterdeep. It's going to be a kaiju story. Erin, we found another
freaking
fantasy
go.
kaiju story.
Let's freaking go.
Oh my God.
Y'all know that sounds incredible. Just
It
think about
does.
it. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Jane said they turn into a Voltron statue. Garwar says Mert was a masked lord, but then got stuck in an enchanted weapon for a while before being released. Since he didn't name a successor, he is still a masked lord, or would they have replaced him after a while? That's a good question.
That is a good question. I feel like this is a question for Ed Greenwood because
We'll get that in
it's
here.
very
Come on.
particular. But I assume that if a masked lord stops showing up for work, that they somehow decide another person to be the masked lord.
Yeah, like how
my
do you
guess-
decide on that? Because there's like they don't call roll. Like
Right. And then
My-
there's also actually this is a wonderful question for Ed because Ed wrote a book called Death Masks in which, like, spoiler
That's
alert,
true.
a lot of them die.
Yep.
oh my god, it's just like our writing about dragons and shit episode. He's just stabbing all of them.
That is, I mean, he tried to warn us. He did.
He
No,
did.
my guess is one, the standard rules don't apply to Mert, and two, like the sword showed up, and you put the robe and the mask on the sword, and it looked like a dude.
There you go.
You know? Yeah.
I also
There you
have to you also have to figure, like, in a world where you have things like speak with dead, that maybe there's options in place. Like, okay, so we'll cast this. We'll say, okay, you didn't name a successor. Who do you want to be your successor? And if they don't answer, that voids this. We try 3 times, and then it passes to the person that sat on their left.
So
or whatever.
everyone Berserk in the chat has a good question, but how would they know which one is missing?
That's a really good point too.
Oh man.
I don't recall if the Open Lord knows who the Masked Lords are, or if it is kept completely secret. I know there's a certain amount that like you're not supposed to know, but they figure it out.
Someone has to know, because otherwise literally anyone could find a way to walk in, but it's like
does Silverhand know who each of them are?
No, I don't think so.
I don't know. I know that there's space here though for like, okay, you're a Masked Lord and nobody knows. and like if the Open Lord's like, okay, listen, we've been friends for a long time. We all know what's going on here. Could you please stop letting Jerry go on for so long about the state of the road, because I'm done.
See, I think the Open Lord doesn't know, but because they're the only one that gets to talk to all of them, they could figure it out.
Yeah.
You know, it's like this dude is deeply preoccupied with mining rights in this region. You know what I mean? There's a short list of people that's a thing for, you know? Yeah.
And I know it was the case in Godcatcher, because one of the characters in the Godcatcher is a Masked Lord, and they talk to Daggelt Neverember, and he knows, right? It is like the secret they are both keeping, but he knows.
Garwar suggested that the Blackstaff might, and I kind of love the idea, because I kind of played Vajra kind of like a Ripley from Aliens, just kind of like that badass character, but I kind of love also that she really loves some tea. Like she's just sitting there spying on everyone. She's like, oh, I know who that is.
I mean, again, it's a wizard thing. Hallister's the same way, you know what I mean? He just involves far more violence than his, that's all.
Yeah. Warrior of Waterdeep says the masked singer as a form of government, harlequinocracy.
Oh my god.
It's as fair as any of them, trust me. Yeah.
I hate it so much.
Except for the White Tiger beating Patti LaBelle. That was a crime against culture and reason. Besides that though, yeah, largely, yes.
Hazen says, is Waterdeep considered corrupt?
Part of me's like, what city in the Forgotten Realms isn't kind of corrupt?
Yeah, but like a place like Neverwinter, for instance, like its political issues are like core to what's up in Neverwinter.
It is better than like Westgate, which is ruled by an oligarchy that's allowed vampires in. Yeah, it's got problems, but it's not perfect, but it's doing okay. I feel like it does have things like, you know, the Xanthar is running a crime syndicate in here. The Zentarum are running amok. There is a nobility in Waterdeep, like a hereditary nobility that has some measure of power that isn't necessarily the Masked Lord's power, although there is overlap. So there is some of that, like people walking around with unearned influence, but yeah, like all things considered, it's not too bad.
Sorry, I made a face while you're talking there because I read the next question and it's now ruined my life.
Oh no.
I will never be able to unhear this, and I will probably hear this every time I listen to it now. Empty Eye says, I hear Alabaster Booty Clap in the same cadence as Alexander Hamilton from Hamilton. Alabaster Booty Clap.
I do now.
God,
it's gotten better.
Dang it.
It's gotten better somehow. Look at that. It's actually improved, which I didn't think was possible.
What's your name, man? Alexander Booty Clap.
Yeah. Now I won't put you on the spot, but we need the tears of Havilar recounting it in that cadence.
Oh my
God. It was Havilar's recounting of what happened.
It
is
was
where we were blessed.
Bailoff shows up and I'm the damn fool that shot him.
I will call Mark Meir. Do not tempt me.
Like
I will get him on this call. Yeah.
Some thought and some energy.
I almost
I will not attempt to bust this out.
Yeah.
Right now.
No zone of safety.
But
I legit almost passed out from laughing there.
I'm just
it needs to happen.
I'm just saying I can get you Mark Mayer. That's all I'm saying.
All right. Stay tuned. Herkwork says the Undermountain Caverns of Ooze are just leftover sets from Ghostbusters 2. Well played.
True.
Let's see. Ryan Hayden says, nobody tell B-Dave that there is a possible transition from ooze to juicy.
It just looks like chicken fat.
Ew.
Let's see. Catch 23 says, I always thought of Undermountain as the product of someone who had many plans, some of them mutually exclusive, some forgotten halfway through, and some with other more complicated plans layered on top of them. Yeah.
Tracks.
Yeah.
No, that.
Yep. This all seems legit. Yep.
I would love like adventurers dungeon crawling through Undermountain and they just get to like the end of one hallway and it just stops into the existence of nothing and there's a sign that says I got bored.
There's just a pile of drywall there.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, back in the day, you know, like Temple of Elemental Evil and all of that stuff, there was doors that were just death. Remember that? Yeah, like I go through the door, you die. What?
Yep.
Yeah.
They just didn't care. No save.
Back when the game was predicated upon hating your players. Yeah. Yeah.
Not fun.
Yep. Ugh. Such a stressful dungeon.
Yeah.
So many pit traps.
Ryan Hayden comes back and says, so far, I've learned that Waterdeep is just the frosting on a layer cake of buried madness.
Yeah, that should go on their City of Commerce pamphlets, I think.
That is true. Yeah, right. The moon coin and that. And then a wizard did it under that. Yep.
Yeah.
Maximilian.
Please don't feed the statues. No.
Please don't feed the statues. Maximilian 841 says, why doesn't the water of the harbor flow into the Underdark? I think it actually does.
Yeah. There's at least one layer that's got a subterranean river. That I think is
Skullport's
the water.
got water.
Skullport's got so there's a river that leads into Skullport because it featured now here's my plug. Skullport features very prominently in the second season of Dungeons and Dragons: A Dark and Wish. The whole thing's on YouTube. I thought they were going to be there for 3 episodes. They were there the entire season. Yeah, because some shenanigans with mind flayers took place. And Encephalithid was down there, and then things went where they went. So yeah,
shenanigans.
Oh, but there is a river.
Gosh.
And it is theorized. Wait, is that the right place? Yeah, it is theorized that river goes all the way to the Sunless Sea that connects to Dark Sun, but it's only theorized that if you just kind of like sail that away, which is just a terrible premise if you think about it. Like I'm just gonna head out in the gloomy dark water in the Underdark, and if I'm right, I end up in Dark Sun. So this seems like
That's true.
yeah, like
you
a
go
net
through
loss.
all that,
Yeah,
and then
I know.
Like even Umberley's like nobody tell him.
endless desert full of cannibalistic. Cabins. Let's not.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, maybe don't. Yeah.
Let's see. Spellhawk Press says, which is bigger, Waterdeep or Sharn?
Ooh. I think Waterdeep's still bigger, but now I want to know.
I think Waterdeep is the biggest. He had 200,000 in Sharn. Yeah. So again, Waterdeep by many magnitudes.
Yeah.
Like Waterdeep is the New York City of the Forgotten Realms, and Sharn's like the LA.
It's the ancient Rome.
Mm-hmm.
Time.
Mm-hmm.
That is still standing miraculously.
Keep coming for it. It keeps making it out.
Yep.
Oh yes, yeah. Maximilian 841 came back and said, "Does would the staff have an effect on Dragonborn?" But I mean, I like the pollen allergy.
Part of me is like, absolutely not. They're not dragons. Stop that.
Right.
But I do really like the like. Oh my God.
No, just for Obo Lauren, it's gonna mess with him. Yeah, like I mean. There's a connection that shouldn't exist, but it's magic and also griefing. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I love it. Well, I think that is a good place to stop for this week. Erin, B-Dave, where can people find you and what awesome things are you working on?
You can find me on Twitter at Erin M. Evans. You can catch me at 6:30 on twitch.tv/Dungeon Scrawlers Wednesdays, just like today. On Dungeon Scrawlers, a D&D Twitch show where I play in the Forgotten Realms with a bunch of other authors.
B-Day Walters, I say words about things. There's a lot of announcements. This week, you're going to hear about a bunch of stuff. I think this week. I don't want to promise anything and then have it be next week, but soon. I'm also in more of the Magic the Gathering Adventures in the Forgotten Realms commercials. Those are rolling out steadily. Those were
wild. Woke up yesterday and I'm just like, oh, no big deal. There's my friend in a Magic the Gathering commercial. Oh.
Yeah. We shot some fun stuff for those. And I'm about to preview a card for the Adventures in the Forgotten Realms. As soon as we get done here, it's going to go up on my Twitter at B-Dave Walters. And Black Dice Society Thursdays at Flar on D&D, Twitch, and YouTube. It is a Ravenloft stream where we do a little bit of the spookiness, and I'm sure there's other things. So yeah, remind me to show you guys something when we're done here I'm going to preview tomorrow. Yep, that's it. Be excellent to each other.
Heck yeah. And you can find me on the Difficulty Class podcast and on Twitter at the Treavor. There's an A hiding in there. And I am still that nerd that made his high school fan fiction character's lightsaber at Disneyland for his birthday. So I want to thank Jay for moderating the chat as always. And thank you to Codename Entertainment for letting us have some fun talking about D&D. And hopefully people learn something. If you missed any part of this show, you can listen to it later as a podcast on your favorite podcast services. And if you have any suggestions for future topics you'd want to hear us talk about, you can send those into Champions of Lore at codenameentertainment.com. And let's see I didn't have it up. There's things and stuff. It's Mars's Guiding Hand is at 1. So if you're here in the chat, please stick around for that. And then the sketching hour, I believe, is at 3. If it's not, Jay will yell at me in the text document like I normally miss and don't see until after I leave. Yeah, that is going to do it for this week's episode. So until next week, Champions out.